Hello, how are you? How's it going? There we go. That'll be better. Maybe you better hear me now. Michelle here, as you probably know by now. This is day 4 of the Content Mojo challenge. I keep thinking, what did I call it? There's a lesson there. Don't put too many words into a title. Sometimes you're going to have to keep repeating it all over the place and all the time. Now, how are you going? So we're kind of like, I guess you could say it's hump day for this week-long part of the blogging, part of the 2-week challenge. So how is it going? Are you getting some things written? I noticed that more and more of you are starting to post how many words you've written, so that's awesome. So I just thought today I would briefly talk about headings again, because some of you will have already thought about your headings, you would have already created something, but they are like a moving feast and they often change. So before I get into I just wanted to give you one trick that you can use in headings. I just wanted to say, if you do have any questions, put them in the comments. I don't have any questions at the moment over in the Facebook group, so I'll just talk a little bit about headings. But I'd like this to be a bit of a two-way conversation, so if you do have anything you want to ask me, put it in the comments and I will address it shortly. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about headings because that is the thing that people see. That's why people go to your blog post and read it. It's because you've created this heading that's allured them in some way and they've gone, yay, this is really cool. This heading is making me want to read everything that this person writes, and especially this particular blog post, because it's going to answer so many questions or whatever, depending on what your blog post is about. So the heading is actually, it's probably just as important as the blog post, if not more, because you could have a great blog post, a crappy heading, and nobody would ever read your great blog post. So that would be a real shame. So there are lots and lots of techniques for creating great headings. As I said, just standing in a supermarket queue and looking at the magazines and seeing the millions of dollars that marketing agencies have been paid in order to come up with some of those crazy headings and the things that pull at your emotions, that make you pick up the magazine and have a look even if you don't actually buy it. You tend to flick through and go, oh, what do you mean I can renovate my whole house in 2 minutes by this magic trick or something? So do pay attention to what's happening around you, how people are advertising to you now, especially the big companies that have spent a lot of money in working out what works with advertising. But also use Google. Go and say, Google, how do you craft a really good heading for a blog? And you'll get, hello, Siobhan. You'll get loads and loads of different ideas and different ways to do it, including the heading analyzer, which we have a link of in the resource center. If you need that link again, just let me know and I'll throw it in the Facebook group. Because the heading and again, there are lots of heading analyzers, so you can go and throw your heading in and it'll give it like a score and give you some ideas about how you could change it and why it gave it that score, that kind of thing. There are even lots of, I've come across a couple, I should probably look up and see if I can find a link, where you can just put in a keyword and they've got a bit of software which will bounce back and tell you, oh, here's a whole, using that keyword and those numbers and X, Y, Z, using a formula like I'm going to show you in a minute. They have a bit of software that will throw out to you a bunch of different ideas that you could use, or just use it as an inspiration for headings as well. So in saying all of that, trying to get you to understand just how important headings are, and I'm sure you already do, there's a formula for one type of heading, and of course there are loads of different headings, and this isn't the only way you could do it, but this is just one technique you could do if you're getting a little bit stuck or if you want to have a play. Many experts in this field will say, you should be writing 20 or 30 headings before you actually stick with the one you're going to use, because it is actually a process of that kind of brain dumping and getting everything out, and the first ones that you do probably won't be all that good. Hey Frankie, hello. Yes, I will. I'll put the link in there. There you go. And Frankie's got a link she can put in as well for to generate different headlines too, which is great. Anyway, so this formula is basically, I wanted to show you this. You won't be able to use it, and I did just write it into the Facebook group. But this is backwards, I realise. It's not that you can't use it, but I wrote it down in order to show you. I put it up there, but it's backwards, so that was a waste of time. Okay, so basically it says you take a number or a trigger word. Now, a trigger word is something like, well, it is what, why, how, and when. So you don't use all of them, you use one of them. So what, why, how, or when, because that's sort of a trigger word to people. And I'll give you an example in a minute. So that's a trigger word. So use a number or a trigger word, plus an objective, plus a keyword. So an adjective is like a descriptive word for a noun, plus a keyword, and we talked about keywords in one of the previous videos. The keywords are the sort of things that you're going to be talking about, the sort of things people are actually using to look up in Google to find your kind of content, plus a promise. So what are you going to promise them? Now, here's a couple of examples. So it's a pretty simple kind of formula. Here's a couple of examples in that I could use in part of my business. So the one using a number, I might say something like 6 simple steps to starting your very own freedom business today. So I've used a number and I've used an objective, a keyword, and a promise. So the promise was to start it today. The keyword is obviously a freedom business. The adjective is starting, so that they could start, and simple, sorry, probably simple actually. Yeah, simple steps. So they're simple and then there's steps. So there's 6, obviously the number is 6. 6 simple steps. So the simple is really your adjective because the steps is the noun. So grammar's not my, considering I used to be a teacher, morning Bev, grammar's not my strongest point. Thankfully we have things like Grammarly and spell check, which don't always work for me because I sent an email out last night before checking the heading. Anyway, we all make mistakes, and as long as we learn by them, that's the important bit. Now, the other example would be for the trigger word. So in this example, I'm using how as the trigger word. So how you can easily start a digital business from scratch would be an example of how I could use it. So go and have a play with that. Love to see some of your examples or the things that you've done. Some playing for your headlines. That would be awesome. And we could all bounce around some ideas for you and give you our opinion on what you've done. So heading's really important. Obviously, getting some things written down, not just your heading, but actually writing. I can see there are some people who have really taken off. Some people have already finished their blog post and off writing things for other people because they happen to be freelance writers. So it's not a complete surprise that writing's coming so easily for them. For everyone else, like me, we just have to keep bashing away until we get enough words. My problem will probably not be getting enough words. It will be shaping those words into something that someone else will want to read. So it's the editing later that'll probably take me the last few days. So I've got quite a few words now, just need to go and play with them a bit. So if you're having any problems getting some words out, getting them on paper or on a computer, so to speak, let me know. Again, we can bash through some ideas and try and get you started, because that's the biggest thing. I think it was, who was it, Kate this morning? Somebody was just saying that just getting started has really been one of the hardest things, and once they actually got started, then it's a much easier, because the hardest part of the process is actually getting started. I think it was Kate. Anyway, I think it was Kate. Doesn't matter. So well done to everyone who's posting. Welcome to everyone who's just watching. Hopefully, eventually, you'll do something for yourself as well. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, that was the main thing I wanted to say today. Tomorrow, I might start touching on images, because just like the heading, the images are the other thing that people will see that will attract them to come and read this amazing piece of content that you've created. So the image that you use for your blog post is pretty important as well. Not quite as important, I don't think, as the actual heading, but still very important, and maybe even the first thing that will catch people's eyes. So we will talk about that. So Frankie's asking, would like help with overused headline, 25 ways to make money for the holidays. Any ideas anyway? Okay, so yours is about, so the blog post you're doing is all about how to make money for the holidays, isn't it? So what you're worried about is that lots of people are using, so maybe what you're asking is the objective. So you want some ideas on what objective to put in there. Is that right? Okay. See, there you go. Siobhan's already helping out. She's already interpreted what you wanted. So, 25 fun and creative ways to make money for the holidays? Yep, that might be really cool. I would also think about adding, so number one, thinking about a great objective, but number two, chuck a promise on for the holiday, like after the holidays, think about a promise, like by saying quickly or simply or that you may never have had, that kind of adds a bit of mystique or a bit of, a promise that this is going to be something simple or something easy or achievable, something that they can, it gives it a little bit more oomph, if you know what I mean, a little bit more sparkle. They go, yes, I want to open that because how could you possibly have 25 ideas that would be simple? Or how could you possibly have 25 ideas that I may never have thought of? So adding something to the end of, after the word holidays, I think is a good idea. I do, lucrative, yes, is very good. I like that, Shuan, that's great. So I would add something like lucrative as well. I think that's, again, and that pulls back into, that sort of promise at the end that it's something that is actually going to be sort of rewarding in some way. So awesome work, team. Well done. Beautiful. If you want to keep that going, actually that'll be at the bottom of this video in the comments as well, so we can keep going if that hasn't given you enough of a little bit more inspiration to take on there, Frankie. All right, any other questions? What are we? 13 minutes past. So hopefully you're all enjoying the challenge. Actually, give me a thumbs up if you're actually enjoying the challenge. That would be nice to see. I'm enjoying the challenge, so I would give myself a thumbs up, but I can't. Yeah. So if you're actually finding it useful, I'd love to know. That'd be great feedback. I'll just have a cup of tea. All right, everybody's gone quiet. Oh, look, I've got some thumbs up. Oh, that's good. Yay. I don't know if there's sometimes my my internet's a little slow and I get sort of delayed feedback, which makes it kind of fun. Interesting. I'm trying to have a two-way conversation with everyone, and yet what we tend to be having is me talking to you and you putting the odd comment in occasionally, which can be a bit disconcerting, but it's kind of fun. I know you're there, and that's great. So I know I'm talking to some people who want to hear what I'm saying, so that's great. I might use some other kind of format in the future as well, where we can have a little bit more feedback and even see each other's faces and be able to talk more live in the future. Thanks, Shuan. That's lovely. All right. Well, I will go. Let you get on with your day and hopefully more writing. Go play with those headlines. And tomorrow I think we'll start touching on images a bit so we can get a couple of nice images out of you that you can use in your fantastic blog post. Oh, Beverly. Bev's a little bit blocked. We might need to start a whole section in our Facebook group to help those people who are still trying to come up with some kind of idea to even start a business online. That's what they're really, really keen to do. So maybe that's what we need to do, is start a whole section just on brainstorming different ideas for those of you who are a bit stuck and just want to get something started. All right. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. It's awesome to see you and to see everyone doing such a good job. I'll be here at the same time tomorrow. Any questions, just drop them into the Facebook group and we'll answer them on this call. Excellent. All right. Love you all. Take care. Bye.